All right, good evening, everyone. This is Daniel from Tradecraft 360, and I thought I would detail an additional trade that I put on today. So this is on ServiceNOW, ticker NOW. So again, I wanted additional exposure to the software sector simply because of what I believe will be its relative strength going forward after having broken out of a very long consolidation period, and I think that it could definitely accelerate to the upside. And in this case, I went with a kind of a monster in the industry, and one that has exhibited a lot of relative momentum, especially since the last earnings reports. I've been trading this on and off over the last several weeks, and I elected then just to say I'm going to put on a medium-term position. This one's going out to January 17th, 2025. And so since I do follow this security quite closely, just during the liquidation break that happened today, not that it was anything that was too serious, it just gave me the opportunity that I was looking for to initiate the position. So I purchased the 940 call, as you can see here, and this was $71.59, 10 contracts. So relatively costly, but at the same time gives me a large runway for profit potential. And I turned around and I sold the 970 call for this Friday, and we'll see how that goes. I don't necessarily think I'll get called away. That said, if I do, then it's not a bad problem to have. Just means I'll have to deal with a position that went a little bit too far too fast. So making too much money too quickly is never a bad thing, but it just means that you'll have to manage getting called away, and there's lots of different ways of doing that. So that certainly was the case with KOLD, which I've detailed in a separate video. So looking forward to seeing how this trade plays itself out. I am cognizant of earnings into next week, so what I would like to do and choose my strikes very carefully. So let's just say later on in the week, ServiceNow is trading for somewhere between where it is now and less than 970. So it looks very likely that the 970 strike won't get taken out. Then what I would like to do is go out next week and choose a set of strikes. So I'm thinking north of 1,000. I think there's probably going to be a lot of relative value there. And then maybe a very out of the money strike as well. So a near strike and a far strike, only because it makes sense, right? So let's just say, for instance, ServiceNow crushes earnings, and I have the 1,000, 1,010, 1,020 strike. And let's say it does get breached. Let's say it actually, and then I also have, let's say, the 1,050, 60, or 70 strike. Well, that's a massive move, right? That's 940 to 1020. I've already made $80 a share. Like, the cost of the call has already effectively been paid for. So, and I have until January. So you could just sell a series of covered puts and make money that way. I mean, there's lots of different ways that you could play it. But, if it does, for instance, go to, let's say, 150, 160, 170, 180, you've already have that gap between 940 and 1,010 or 20 where you've made that money. So that gives you an extra level of protection. So you still haven't technically lost any money, even if your second strike gets hit. And at that point, you would probably anticipate a reversal of some form. That would be a monstrous move. And if nothing else, you would just sell a covered put against that position. So there's lots of different ways of even handling that. So that's why I tend to go with multiple sets of strikes, just because I can handle positions that don't necessarily work in my favor. There's always a backup plan. There's always something you can do. There's always, and it's actually not as difficult as you might think as a trader to put on those positions. And then you get the added benefit of, let's say it doesn't get to the high strike, but it takes up the low strike. Well, now you have taken advantage of the earnings release, and you've collected that much more premium. So just back of the envelope, I mean, it might be by the end of next week, I could have covered maybe 20 or 30% of the entire value of this call option that goes out to January. It can be that fast, that easy. Well, nothing's ever easy in trading, but it's not a bad place to start. And you'd want to do that because if the earnings release doesn't go in your favor and ServiceNOW takes a major hit, you're going to be fighting an uphill battle for a long period of time, and you're going to need to have generated that initial call premium to make it that much easier to at least cover the cost of the call, which, as I said before, that is my major goal while putting on these medium-term positions. I also do intraday day trading. I'll do all those things. I can sort of detail those positions. Because I'm in and out, it's not as illustrative as these sort of medium-term positions that sort of give you an idea of how I sort of work through the different companies that I choose, the different strikes that I like to utilize, how I can sort of mitigate risk, come out usually ahead, not take losses, always make money, so to speak. And intraday day trading is just in out, not as entertaining, I should say, or not necessarily something that is as easily replicable. You just have to eyes on screen. It's not for everybody. I do enjoy intraday day trading. I do that as part of the market. I do lots of different things that I'll sort of be detailing in separate videos and separate categories as time goes on. But right now, I just think it's easier to illustrate. These types of trades are actually probably account for the vast majority of my rate of return. I also do a variation of a buy and hold and a few other things that when I have the time, I'll like to detail and go from there. But for now, so ServiceNOW, I think it's a good company in the appropriate sector, and I've given myself enough of a runway for this to be successful. And I already have plans. As you can see, I already sold the 970 call into the end of the week. Let's see how that goes. And then Thursday, Friday, I can then make my decision for next week. Ideally, I'd like to choose a near strike and a far strike. That's usually how I like to play these types of things, and then see how earnings go and go from there. All right, everyone, I've spoken a little bit too much for this video, so I apologize for that, and I hope everyone has a great rest of their week. Take care. Bye-bye.